Hello, friends, and welcome back to Scaling Stories. Today, I've got some more highly upvoted posts from Best of Redditor updates for y'all. Like always, I'll be reading you the posts and giving you my opinions, and I'll also be working on building up my Minecraft world at the same time, so I hope you enjoy. Also, I'm currently only in Spotify's creator program, so watching on there would help me out a ton. Thank you so much for your support. Today's first story comes from the Relationships subreddit. It was posted by Generic Throwaway 5555 on December 19th, 2014, and was titled, My 24 female future in-laws are upset because my autistic nephews, 6 male, 10 male, 13 male, 17 male, aren't invited to the wedding and my fiancé, 36 male, won't even defend me. To start out, I really love my future nephews, and their disabilities don't have any effect on that. They are severely autistic, and the two oldest ones are extremely violent, hitting/kicking/spitting/scratching/pushing, and the 17-year-old also has several inappropriate sexual behaviors that he exhibits regularly. The two youngest ones are fairly low functioning and can't really speak, but can be fairly disruptive when they are overstimulated. The biggest problem comes in when the oldest two have meltdowns, caused by overstimulation and large groups of people, especially strangers, or caused when their schedule is disrupted. During my time around these two boys, I've been kicked, punched, shoved, spat on, not drooled on, headbutted, and bitten. I had to go to the hospital to get it checked out. This was especially common at the beginning of my fiancé's and my relationship, given that I was a stranger to the boys. It's decreased a little over time, but it still happens, and I'm pretty small. 5 feet 2 inches, 100 pounds. And they're pretty big, so when it happens, it knocks the wind out of me pretty badly. The 17-year-old has also started noticing his sexual feelings and has begun taking them out on women anywhere near him, including me. He walks up and kisses women on the lips, or grabs their butts or their breasts, and he's even tried to stick his hand down my pants before, and he takes his clothes off and jerks off whenever he feels like it. I've asked his parents and grandparents, the people they live with who take care of them, if there's anything they can do or say to maybe encourage them not to do those things, and it just resulted in me being hated and yelled at for being insensitive to their issues and expecting them to know better when I know that they don't. I've thought about trying to get them to stop using some methods that I read about, but I didn't want to make it any worse because I know that if I tried anything, it would result in more yelling and being berated, and told that at least I don't have to deal with it every day. Since we know what causes the boys to have meltdowns, my fiancé and I decided to have a child-free wedding so as not to specifically exclude the boys. When my future brother-in-law heard about the no kids rule, he immediately went on the defensive and demanded that the boys be invited because normal kids will get to experience other weddings. They won't. When I tried explaining to him that it wasn't just for the boys again, he wasn't having it. Then I tried explaining that the safety of the boys, I don't want them to be too overwhelmed, and the venue isn't child-friendly, and the guests at the wedding, about 350 people, was very important to me. I got berated and told how horrible, insensitive, and evil a person I was. They're threatening to not come to the wedding and have already started posting the passive-aggressive stuff on Facebook about the favorite auntie who thinks her autistic nephews are a burden because they aren't perfect. Now my fiancé wants to allow them to come, but not any other children, and he seems totally unconcerned about the guests who will be there, or even me, for that matter. I'm honestly just thinking about calling off the wedding and possibly even my relationship with my fiancé, as he never stands up for me and sometimes even joins in by telling me to just accept the things that come with the disease, no matter how bad they are. I don't know how much more I can deal with in this situation as a whole, dealing with his family. I know that this all sounds terrible on my end, and I honestly feel bad for feeling this way because I know that they can't help it, and I feel bad for my future brother-in-law / future sister-in-law / future mother-in-law / future father-in-law because I know that they are under tons of constant stress and don't really have many places to turn besides each other, but I really can't deal with this for the rest of my life. Am I wrong and insensitive in this situation? And is ending my relationship with my fiancé and his family too drastic a measure for this problem? Scaling Stories Corner. So first off, OP's fiancé is wrong for telling OP that she needs to accept the things that come with autism and then refer to it as a disease, because autism isn't a disease. And the way he phrases it makes it sound like autism is some sort of illness and you have to cure it in order to get better. But autistic people aren't ill, And they're just the way they are because their brain works differently and they're born like that. So you can't cure it and make it go away. There is like a difference in terms of how autism can affect your ability to live out your life. Like if you're considered high functioning, then you're probably able to function on your own as an adult and live on your own. But if you're considered low functioning, then you're not able to do so and you need help living in your day to day. And a little bit personal, but I'm pretty autistic on like the high functioning side. But hey, that's just life. I personally never let it hold me back. Mostly because I don't have to let it hold me back. It'll do that for me. And dude, oh my God. I do cringe a little bit thinking about some social situations I've been in or when I've taken something literally that wasn't meant to be taken literally, but it's just a learning experience as I go. Like learn from every situation I run into, and that kind of just shapes me into the person that I am today. But yeah, there's a whole lot of other things that runs in the family. But anyway, Opie's future in-laws are massively in the wrong here because they're not looking out for their autistic children properly. They say that normal kids will be able to experience weddings, and that's why their kids have to be able to attend OP's wedding as well, because they want them to be like normal kids. And I don't mean this in a bad way when I say this, but they aren't normal kids with like normal perceived behaviors. They literally have meltdowns when they get overstimulated or interact with strangers. And the bright idea for these parents are to throw them into an environment where they're going to get overstimulated and interact with a lot of strangers. Like, way to go. You're really showing that you care a lot about these children by forcing them into situations that you know for a fact is going to make them uncomfortable. And you know what? Them having a meltdown isn't even the worst part of it. But if one or more of your children legit can't control themselves around women and forces themselves onto women, you should literally not be bringing him around them and try your best to educate and manage him and teach him that that behavior is not okay. You can't just be like, oh, he's autistic. You just have to accept getting touched and groped and everything else. Like, no, that can't be the right thought process. So yeah, these kids don't belong in a packed and stimulated environment like a wedding, and it's not their fault, and they don't have to be in an environment like that. But their parents, or not just their parents, but the whole future family in-law is trying to force them into an environment like that, and that's not treating those kids right. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, I can't even imagine staying in such a relationship and marrying into such a family. You seem to have been assigned the role of a family doormat and scapegoat, and now it's your last chance to refuse it. Commenter 2 says, I'm honestly just thinking about calling off the wedding and possibly even my relationship with my fiancé, as he never stands up for me. Well, it sounds like you've made your decision, and honestly, it's a good one. The family sounds out of control. They think it's perfectly acceptable for their autistic son to sexually assault other women, and they abuse you for bringing it up? Normal kids will get to experience other weddings. They won't. No, because quite honestly, they are not normal kids. They have extreme social disorders, which manifest through antisocial behaviors that their carers can't/won't control. The fact that you're facing abuse from your future family over a perfectly rational decision, child-free weddings are becoming more and more common, and that not only is your fiancé not supporting you, but he is allowing them to treat you like this, is a really bad sign. By the sounds of it, you're already at the end of your rope. If you feel so strongly about the whole matter that you're willing to end your entire relationship with him and his family, I think you should. It's not the parents' fault or the boy's fault that they have autism, but that doesn't mean they are free to behave however they want without control or repercussions. You deserve to have a wedding where A, you don't have to worry about 1 to 4 children having aggressive meltdowns, and B, you know you are marrying a partner and a family that will always support you. Commenter 3 says, why on earth is your fiancé not backing you up here? OP says, he thinks that I'm wrong to feel the way I do because the boys can't help their disorders, and he thinks that I should get over it and not bother his brother and sister-in-law with it when there's nothing they can do about it anyway. And he's thrown out the, you chose to be a part of my family thing, which is true, so he usually joins in on their side instead of mine. OP says to another commenter, the 17-year-old is their biological child, and the other 3 were adopted as babies. I should have added this in earlier, but all of the adopted boys have other issues that were known at birth, which is how they ended up having 4 special needs children. I'm not exactly sure what those other disabilities are though, as they mainly just tell me it's their autism when problems arise. OP says to another commenter, the behavior described by the mom is exactly how my future brother-in-law and future sister-in-law act. They do the whole, wow, look at us. We are such saints for caring for 4 autistic boys. Our life is so hard. You should praise us. OP says to another commenter, as far as I know, they're not in therapy, and I'm not sure if they've even checked out therapy or support groups. I once tried to suggest that maybe therapy would be a good thing to try out, and I got my head bitten off for telling them how to parent their kids and speaking on something I have no idea about. Then, my fiancé laid into me too. So, all in all, they value anything I say about the situation as pretty much worthless, and they definitely aren't open to therapy. Update 1 week later. Thanks to all of you who commented and gave advice on the last post. Having the little extra support was nice. The day after I made the post, I basically already had my mind made up to leave my fiancé. I'd been thinking about it longer than I'd like to admit, but I decided to wait until the holidays were over so that the break wouldn't be as messy. We were discussing Christmas plans, and I told him that I would prefer to go to my family's house this year because I knew that if I joined his family, his brother/sister-in-law and their boys would be there, and I'd rather not disturb the boys' schedule or get yelled at by his family anymore. My fiancé flipped his crap and began yelling at me for being selfish and thinking only of myself. I even told him why again, and he still kept yelling, all while name-calling, and I lost it and started yelling too and told him that I might want to spend time with his family if I wasn't abused and forced against the wall every time I was near them. Apparently, this was the most shocking news ever to him, and he couldn't believe that I felt that way. When he finally asked how I was being abused, I told him about all of the things his family does and says to me, even though usually while he's present, and maybe I shouldn't have, but I also told him that I didn't want to be hit/kicked/spat on/groped by the boys for at least this one day. He, somehow, had no idea that I wasn't okay with this, ! Despite the fact that he witnesses it, and I tell him every time it happens. He called me an awful CNT for blaming them for doing things that they don't know aren't okay / that go along with their disabilities, and having no sympathies for selfless, lots of ! people in a physically / emotionally tough situation, which isn't at all what came out of my mouth in any way, shape, or form. And he knows that I know that the boys can't help it and that I've expressed both sympathy and understanding for his brother/sister-in-law. He left very soon after that, and immediately the phone calls and messages started coming in from his family. I can't even count how many times I was called worthless, useless, selfish, evil, pathetic, a BTCH, a WHRE, and a CNT. Then, they even took it to Facebook and fabricated the story completely and twisted just about every word. My fiancé came back the next day and apologized for the night before and asked if I was ready to suck it up and get over myself and just go to his family's house for Christmas. I stuck to my guns and told him that there was no way I was going back there and that I was spending the holidays with my family, whether he was going or not, and we got into another fight, solely about our relationship this time. And I told him about all of his selfishness, immaturity in everything, disrespect, lying, name-calling, purposely doing / saying things I'd asked him not to, whininess. Whenever I wanted to go out with friends or family or have time by myself, he would pout and moan and groan and whine and call a billion times, asking when I'd be home, and his total lack of balls when it came to defending me ever. We went back and forth for quite a while, and at one point, I was finally done and kicked him out. It was my house to begin with, and told him that our relationship was over. Even after all of that, it was hard to leave him, and I will sort of miss him at times, but it felt like the biggest weight in the world had been lifted off my shoulders, and for the first time in 4.5 years we'd been together, I felt like a free person. I still feel bad for his family though, and especially the boys, knowing what they have to go through, but I had to get out, as it was only adding extra, unneeded stress and hurt to everyone. It's still a mess right now, with him having to come back and forth to get his belongings and canceling everything for the wedding, but I'm happy that it's over now and that I can move on and not feel completely awful about myself 24/7, even though my heart is still a little broken. ScalingStories Corner. Yo, so I completely forgot to talk about the fiancé before because I got a little bit sidetracked, but also yeah, if your fiancé or future partner doesn't side with you in disagreements with his family, within like reasonable territory, of course. It has to be like in good faith that they're acting right and proper, because maybe sometimes you're the unreasonable one. But in this case, if they don't side with you and also hurl a ton of insults your way and lets his family verbally abuse you, then thank heavens that this all happened before the wedding, because this guy was such a massive walking red flag. I think he wanted OP to be a complete doormat to his family, and his family wanted some kind of like obedient, subservient daughter or sister-in-law to abuse. So for OP's sake, like good riddance to all of them. And I feel really awful for the kids once they grow into adulthood, because their parents and the rest of the family, for that matter, aren't even attempting to help them work with their autism. And they seem heavily against therapy or any third party to help them. Because they're so dead set on raising them like neurotypical children, or they're just in the mindset that they're helpless and they can't do anything to help them purely because they're autistic. And that's just setting up these kids for failure in the future. Now, here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "My cousins, 3 of them, are autistic, and they don't go around sexually harassing people or abusing people. You know why? Because my aunt takes no crap from them. She is kind and soft when she needs to be about certain things that set them off, but crap like that, she puts a stop to. Your ex-fiancé's family is a joke, and I'm glad you got out of there. I hope 2015 brings great things for you." Commenter 2 says, "You just dodged the world's biggest bullet ever. My extended family is a piece of work, and even I can't fathom them calling someone possibly marrying into it a CNT/WHRE/BTCH. The fact that all those special needs kids are adopted astounds me, because when those boys become teens and adults, they are going to have the worst time out in the world. I feel for them. Also, your ex, I can't even believe he told you to suck it up and put on a game face on Christmas after his family called you a CNT/WHRE/BTCH. I mean, I'd show up just to spit on them and point out you have a disability that makes it hard to control that around douche canoes like themselves. But I'm chronically single, maybe for a reason. A+ to you, OP. You, I'm sure, deserve better." Commenter 3 says, "You've been with this guy since you were 19, and he was 32? I have a feeling that, in a few years, after you have dated a bit more and found someone truly worthy, you will look back on this Christmas as the best escape you could have made." Okay, friends, so that concludes our first story of the day. Next up, we have a story from the relationships subreddit. It was posted by babytalkugh on December 20th, 2014, and was titled, "Boyfriend, 20 male, of 1 month keeps telling me, 20 female, he loves me." Okay, short and simple, and I will say now that I've told him a few times that I don't like it. He first said it one night, "Love you," heart emoji, and I immediately asked what that meant, in case he was throwing love out 4 goddamn weeks in. He said, "It means I love you," heart emoji. He's never used baby talk in the 6 months I've known him and has never seemed this silly. I told him baby talk makes me uncomfortable, and the reference to love makes me uncomfortable this early on. He said he understood. He keeps saying it when I go to bed though. He'll text me, "Love you," heart emoji, and say it when he hugs me when we leave after we've hung out somewhere. Every time he does it, I tell him to please stop with the baby talk and love. I've told him probably 6 times now. I've said it makes me uncomfortable. Is there a better way to explain? Or is this a lost cause? It's very early on, so I'm aware it's better to break up now than put up with it if he refuses to stop. But I'm wondering, from outside perspectives, if telling him I'm uncomfortable with baby talk may not be clear enough/easy to understand. Maybe he doesn't think it's baby talk in this context? I'm mostly just concerned that if I've not actually made it clear to him, someone who considers this talk to be normal, I haven't actually given him fair warning/chance to change before I dump him. Edit. I forgot to add, and it might be important, it isn't always just when we say goodbyes. If we're watching a movie or hanging out, he'll play games a lot, and I just sorta chill on his bed. He'll turn around and mumble/cottonmouth a "love you" and maybe cuddle me. It's not just a thing he uses to end conversations, but it primarily happens when we're saying goodbye. ScalingStories Corner. You know, I don't think I gave the love yous in this post justice. I think OP probably meant something like this. And for the record, before I attempt this and you listen to it, I am a grown adult male, And I promise I don't speak like this normally, but I think I have a really good idea about what it sounds like in my head. So when the boyfriend is talking to OP, it's probably something like, I, I, I want, I want, I want you. Okay, we might need to delete that recording because I think I've said that to my mom before, and it's quite literally the same tone. So that's where the experience comes from, if you believe me. But okay, if I'm OP, I think I would dump this guy because it's only 1 month into the relationship. And you can do this one time as the boyfriend, like one time, and you see how your partner reacts to it. And OP says she doesn't like it and she's uncomfortable with it. And then you do it again and again. Well, to me, that says like, okay, so you don't really care about how I feel or what I say. So I don't think being in a relationship with you is good. This is similar to if your partner kept calling you a pet name that you didn't like, and you're like, I don't like it when you call me that, and they keep doing it. So, okay, well, we're just not going to work out together. It's been nice knowing you, that kind of vibe. Now, here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, the baby talk annoys the ever-living crap out of me as well. If he doesn't listen, then dump him. OP says, it makes me feel sick and makes my skin crawl. I'm not a baby or a dog. It feels so skeevy and immature, like a 14-year-old in his first relationship. I told him it makes me uncomfortable, and I effing wish he'd listen. Commenter 2 says, be crystal clear and direct. Honey, don't use the word wuv or any other childish or baby talk. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. Some people, guys, need very specific pointers. Now, if you say never use the word wuv again, and he does it, then it may be time to reevaluate with a, look, you keep doing something I dislike. Why? If you won't stop doing something so simple, I can't trust you with bigger issues. I hate people who won't stop doing things I've specifically asked them not to do. So if you say stop and he keeps doing it, I dump him. OP says, I've literally said that, almost word for word, but with more explanation. My text to him last night was, babe, for like the 100th time, stop saying you love me. I told you baby talk is uncomfortable to me, especially the word love, since it's baby talk for love, and this is too early on. Stop. He then apologized and said goodnight on good terms. I did so too. However, he said wuv again today when I said I was going out for a while and wouldn't be able to chat. And because it was by text, I just didn't reply as I was A, busy, and B, getting so sick of it. I decided to come ask Reddit for help now. But yeah, I need to ask him to explain why he keeps doing something he knows makes me uncomfortable. Beyond the triviality of baby talk, ignoring my request and willingly making me uncomfortable feels like a red flag. I just don't know if he realizes that wuv is baby talk and if he's not gonna get me to accept it by repeatedly doing it. Update 1 day later. I know it's only been 24 hours, but people felt quite strongly about this, so I figured I'd write this out tonight. First, thanks for all the replies. Many helped me feel affirmed that I was correct to hate the behavior and be upset, but some also helped me work out why he may keep doing it. I will mention that my use of love emoji and stuff like good nights is not exclusive to us. Everyone in our friendship group uses it almost like a smiley face emote. We use it with others as well as ourselves. However, he could still be misinterpreting that, so I took it into account that maybe I wasn't totally clear and maybe he was getting mixed signals. I was due to meet him today and did so, intending to ask him to explain why he kept doing it. Not word for word, obviously, but his words were pretty shocking, and I remember it very well, luckily. Part of why I wanted to post it tonight while it's all still fresh in my noggin. Here's how it went. Me. Why do you keep using the word and the baby talk when I've asked you not to? You know it makes me uncomfortable and you've apologized, so surely you know it's inappropriate and you should stop. Were the apologies fake? He looked very offended at this suggestion, and I think I baited him too much. I regret it since he got angry. Him. What the hell? No. I apologize for making you uncomfortable. Me. Then why keep doing the thing that makes me uncomfortable? Him. Maybe I should be more obvious. I'm apologizing for the fact that you interpret my affections that way. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm not sorry for the baby talk. You just have to get used to it. Me. So you don't care that it makes me uncomfortable? Him. I do, but you just need to stop being uncomfortable with a normal, cute thing. You're being a BTCH about it now, honestly, and it's hurting my feelings. What if I say I'm uncomfortable when you don't use baby talk with me? Would you change? Me. Those are two different things. You're deflecting. Him. No, I have every right to talk to you how I want. You're being a hypocrite. Me. I wouldn't want you to suffer with the burden of dating a hypocrite, then. Goodbye. Don't contact me ever again. I was actually kind of proud of how quick I was, but I was fuming and shaking after I walked off and got to my car. He texted me generic, "You're overreacting" stuff, and when I ignored it, he demanded the gifts back that he'd given me. Dude spent a lot of money on me, and I never asked for it. I told him the gifts are legally mine once given to me and declared as gifts. I told him I never asked for the gifts, and it was his choice to buy them. Live with the choice. I finished by saying again, do not contact me. I've blocked him on all social media. The gifts were a little too much, something I also mentioned once, but he gifted me again afterward. Since he only did it once after I said not to, I wasn't going to pull him up on it unless he, like in this situation, kept doing it. I did try to refuse the gifts, and he got upset until I accepted them. In hindsight, the gifts were starting to go the same direction as the baby talk. I was an idiot for not seeing the red flags sooner. I don't want the gifts, and they're somewhat expensive, all still with tags on, except price tags. Teddy bears, clothes, shoes, and jewelry, all bought for me in a month, are now going to a charity shop after Christmas to hopefully make a decent bit of money back for a better cause than some dude who loves me so much, heart emoji. He just has to shower me with gifts and ignore my comfort and boundaries. You guys helped open my eyes and made me stop feeling like the bad guy for taking issue with it. I really wanted to understand and explain it to him, but I guess his true colors came out. It's surprising how I didn't ever see or hear about this side of him for 6 months when we were friends. Thank you again for all of your advice and help in the thread last night, guys. ScalingStories Corner. So, that guy was a giga red flag, and he was being super manipulative and love bombing to OP. When he said that he's uncomfortable if OP doesn't use baby talk, like, you know what? That's fair. If you're uncomfortable with the way your partner talks, and in this scenario, he wants OP to always just talk like a baby, he's free to feel that way. But then OP is also free to feel like that goes against her boundaries and what she wants to do as a person. So then you're just incompatible in a relationship, and thus breaking up is the way to go. But obviously, there has to be good faith when you're asking your partner to stop doing something that makes them uncomfortable. And if they don't stop when you ask them, then just like OP did here, you need to get out of the relationship and don't look back. And dude, that guy was actually such a massive loser to be like, oh, I did apologize for making you uncomfortable, but I'm only sorry because you feel that way, not because I'm actually sorry. Like, that is just a super non-apology, and it's just like super cringe. Now, here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "It sounds like this guy doesn't really care what other people think and just does his own thing. Not just with the wubs stuff, but with the gifts as well, completely disregarding your feelings." OP says, "I mean, part of me thinks he lashed out because I confronted him, because he was so insistent on being affectionate with the wub stuff. It really shocked me to see him suddenly be such a jerk. Maybe others were right in that he loved me. Or, well, thought he did. We don't know each other well enough after a month of dating, Jesus effing Christ, and was upset that it wasn't reciprocated and lashed out finally. Whatever, he isn't my problem anymore." Okay friends, so that concludes today's video. Leave a like and comment down below to let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.